Story 1. I don't know how to feel or what to do about any of this. I've been working on this in IC and MC with my wife, but it's not enough. I've tried forums that weren't any help because I was getting called an idiot for staying. Self-help books, a journey of self-discovery. But this is eating away at me every day, and as much as everything else gets better, these feelings stay the same. I want to reconcile, but some days the heartache is so painful I want to die if I don't feel like I'm going to die of a heart attack at that moment. I haven't even talked to anyone about this except my therapist, our counselor, her, and my dad, so I feel completely alone. The short version: all of the signs indicate that my wife cheated on me. She engaged in what is the dictionary definition of an E with her friend and entertained the sexual advances of the AP and her partner. I found the texts indicating that everything going on was an E, and I found the texts about the sexual advances too. That is where my WS says that it stopped. Texts, entertainment. That she didn't know what was going on, the end. I believe that she didn't, but I've still dealt with all of these feelings that came up through all of this as if she had. She is the best thing that's ever happened to me, and I don't want to throw that away because at the end of the day I know I'd regret it more. But this has absolutely destroyed me, and my wife doesn't get it. As she described it, she knows nothing happened, so she doesn't understand why I feel anything about this. Prologue. We've been married for 4 years this year, dating for 5. She is my dream person. From the very beginning we've been incredibly compatible, and this relationship has been defined by a unique sense and feeling of safety I had never experienced before. My wife is a complicated person. She's intelligent, caring, and loving, but is also characterized by aloofness, overreactions, and callousness. I've never been able to get a read on her. She was diagnosed with autism in early mid-2022, which shed light on a lot of our problems defined by misreading each other. 2020 went well for us. While every other relationship around us blew up, we were thriving. Throughout 2021 we did have a hard year of our own. 1A. She quit full-time job to build her own business, which didn't take off as quickly as she thought it would. 1B. This resulted in her feeling inadequate because she wasn't contributing to the household income, and we were experiencing money problems. 1C. She started taking out loans without telling me. 2A. We had a miscarriage. 2B. This triggered depressive episodes for both of us. 3. I worked 3 hours away and was unable to quit my job due to the financial stress outlined above, which left her, as she described it, alone too much with her thoughts. In 2021, those relationships started to take a toll on our own. In my wife's own description, seeing the problems in her friends' marriages made her see problems in our own marriage that she didn't even think was there in the first place, and were probably never there. They were her friends' problems with our marriage. Some of those problems included: we spent too much time together, we were too comfortable with each other, we got married quickly. We were both young and grew up conservative and really never got a chance to fully explore ourselves or other people. She created a secret Instagram away from her work colleagues and family where she could post her more liberal takes. Selfies, lingerie pics, stuff she said to help her self-esteem she'd only shared with me and her friends. Her friends had opened their marriages and she brought it up for discussion because she had started talking to women before she met me, and we talked about it while we were seeing each other before we were committed. I called her bluff, told her I wouldn't be doing that, but she could do it on her own if she wanted. I loved her and that I would be right here. So, she wanted to get a unicorn. In January 2022 I felt as if things were very off, but I couldn't quite put my finger on how, but all the signs were there. Marriage problems. Distance. She started focusing on her appearance more, she started becoming more sexually adventurous, stopped talking to me, spending less together, more defensive about general topics, increased reactions, stupid lies, telling her friends we were in an open marriage when we weren't. WS had been friends with this person, who I consider to be the EEP, for years. My wife had actually entertained being the EEP's unicorn in her own marriage before we started dating, which was horrifying to learn years later, but the EEP's husband didn't want to do it. So, my wife thought this would be the perfect reversal now that her EEP's own marriage was ending and open. I said sure, but let me have someone on one time with this woman so I can get to know her first. The EEP and I went for coffee. My WS didn't like how it felt, so she told the EEP she didn't want to do it anymore and that it wasn't right for us. I thought it ended there in about April of 2022. Meanwhile, my wife's telling me about what a train wreck this woman's life was becoming. Her EEP was essentially breaking up her friends' marriages to get them to be with EEP and her partner. My WS gets diagnosed with autism around this time and it's like a light bulb moment. She's not aloof and distant and callous because she's unhappy and cheating on me. It's because our brains are different. If it weren't for that diagnosis I wouldn't even be here now. D-Day. I was sick and asked my wife to go get food. I gave her my phone because she could only check in through the app and I couldn't give her an order number or code or anything. She left her phone. I just started having a panic attack and went through it. I found months of texts of my WS and her AP talking SHT about me. I saw that her AP had sent my WS a picture she had posted on her secret Instagram saying, "My boyfriend thinks you're hot," in the middle of one of our conversations about our fights, and I saw my wife reply back, "Tell him he can add me on my Insta." I found those texts in July. The texts themselves were from May. I am never going to know what the EFF happened between then, if anything at all, but to my wife's credit that was about the time she said that she didn't want to have a close relationship with AP anymore. When she got back, I tried to play it cool, but I was pale and shaking so badly that she asked if I needed to go to the hospital. I just told her, "You told her that her boyfriend can add you on your Finsta," through her phone, frantically packed while screaming, and left while she's shaking and repeating I don't know why I said that and begging me to talk to her. I go to my parents' house. I spend some time thinking. I tell her I'll come home if she lets me see the rest of the texts. She says yes. She deleted her entire message chain with that person going back to before we even started dating. So, I screamed, accused her of lying and being manipulative. I found out that she kept texting Eep like nothing had happened, so I gave her an ultimatum and she picked me, her side of the story. We had been fighting a lot, and she never felt like anything she did was right. I definitely knew that I had hurt her, but not as bad as I did. She felt like Eep was the only person she had in the world, and the only person that she could trust, because Eep had been there for her through several of her other relationships. She knew that Eep was trying to collect a little harem for her boyfriend but not trying to divide me and my wife, because she didn't believe Eep would personally do that to her, because she thought Eep had my WS and our marriage's best interests at heart. The reason that the message I found inviting Eep's boyfriend to add her on her Instagram was around the time that she said she didn't want to be close with Eep anymore was because she felt threatened and violated that Eep shared private pictures with her boyfriend in the first place. She said that because Eep had grown increasingly pushy to spend time with both of them and she didn't want her to be mad at her, so she just stopped talking to her outside of group convos. At first it sounded like manipulation, but after the diagnosis and marriage counseling it makes a lot of sense. Fallout. She started letting me go through her phone, but I saw that there were places where messages were missing. She deleted a separate chain of texts with a different friend going back to before we dated too. So of course, I grew angrier and more distant. Since then, I've essentially felt punished for staying and made to feel like my feelings about what she did are irrational or that I should just get over it because nothing happened. We worked through this in marriage therapy. She has a hard time understanding why people feel things if she doesn't understand them rationally. The marriage counselor helped me explain that it's not about rationality, but the emotional experience of going through all of this, and it was an overnight change, and I felt a sense of support I hadn't felt in a long time. The marriage counselor helped her explain to me that she deletes the text messages now because she knows I'm reading them and because of her past trauma of being in a physically abusive relationship. I don't entirely blame her. I've been yelling a lot when this stuff comes up. We were starting to move on. I felt better, but I didn't think better. Between the E, my wife's reactions to my feelings about the E, and some other stuff I had been going through in my personal life, I have become very cynical and cold. I don't trust people anymore. I don't want personal relationships with people anymore. I removed all of my wife's friends from my socials because I'm just done with any pretense of any personal relationship with them anymore. Because there's absolutely no way they didn't know what was happening. And because some of them were actually trying to be a go-between contact for the Eep to get in touch with my wife after she blocked her. My wife's friend from college comes back into her life, and he's married. She wants us to hang out so I can make a friend. I tell her we can go out, but I don't want to be friends with her friends because I don't know who else is trying to F her. We get into an argument about it later that day. We talk about it, and I'm vulnerable for the first time with her in years by telling her straight up that I don't trust her. And even though I haven't been checking her messages, that's because I know she's probably deleting them anyway. D-Day 2. It's Christmas. Everything feels okay. I check her phone for the confirmation of plans we had that morning that went to her number, so I don't have to wake her up. I see messages from a guy telling her good night. I check it and it's deleted. I don't do what I've been doing and blow up on her. I let us have our Christmas morning. We head to the car to go out, and I tell her calmly, I know you're doing this. I saw your phone. This is why I said I don't trust you and why I can't trust you. Let's try to have a good day anyway. We don't argue. I don't even know what to call it. It's really quiet the rest of the day until we start talking in a very vulnerable way. Haven't talked in months. She's honest and tells me that she was talking about how insane I am. New Year's weekend, I feel the panic that I guess some people have when they feel like something's wrong. I check her Instagram. The guy makes vague mentions of a meal on Sunday when I was supposed to work. I wait for my wife to wake up, make her a nice coffee, ask her what he was talking about. She says she made plans with him and she wasn't going to go. I ask if his wife was going to be there. She says no. I ask to see her phone. She asked him. It gets worse. His marriage is effed up too. It gets even worse. My wife is the one who decided to add him out of the blue on Facebook while we're going through this SHT. It gets worse. She never called it off and told me she hadn't gotten around to it yet. So, I got angry. I don't think I started yelling at that point, but she was, and it was just an argument all day. I spell it out for her. She is doing everything all over again. I'm done. She makes concessions, apologizes, spends the night taking care of me while I cry, and we cried together for the first time in 2 years. I don't mean that I was tearing up. I was crying like how Hemingway described a man possessed by an animal. I feel like everything is fine. The next day she starts fighting again and talks a lot about what an inconvenience all of this is for her. I sat her down and told her I can't do this anymore, that this is killing me, and I was open to her in a way that I haven't been in years and told her about how deeply this was affecting my entire personhood and being and killing me every day. She said she understood. She spent another night taking care of me while I cried. We came up with some solutions to these problems. We had our MC tonight and it was hard. Hearing her talk about everything brought it up like everything that's happened in the last 6 months was happening right there all at once in an hour. TLDR. Caught WSNE. Potentially Pa. I believe that she didn't, but I'll never know. I want to reconcile, but there is just so much overwhelming day-to-day pain. Reader comment. While sorry to hear you're going through this, buddy, I am going to be 100% honest with you when I say please do everything in your power to get away from this person. She has no inclination whatsoever to reconcile and is continuing to manipulate, gaslight, and blame you for her wayward actions. You are the only person trying to salvage this relationship. Please, Opus, I implore you to go get counseling for yourself and remove this manipulative person from your life. It really pains me to read the level of disregard and disrespect she is subjecting you to. Story 2. My progress of surviving. D-Day was 3 months ago. I left her because she cheated on me and was lying and disrespecting. Went nuclear, then just took my stuff and left apartment, went straight no contact while was in taxi. Made a mistake of not blocking her, just deleting everywhere. She wrote me later that day asking for forgiveness. I didn't know the rules for no contact at that time and answered her to go to hell and AP to die. Then she apologized again and asked for forgiveness again. I said that I don't know for now. There was no more contact from her. Her apologies never felt real. It felt like she was upset with herself being a bad guy. I really trusted her. I knew that she was hanging out with the AP, and I knew that a P was into her, but I saw her as a strong character. Turned out she is not, and I am not going to enforce morality on anyone. They have to do it themselves. Earlier that year I catch myself emotionally involved with another girl. She was kinda throwing herself at me. She was new and interesting. But I realized what was happening and that this is wrong and distanced myself. The girl dropped off by herself. I thought that my GF would do the same. I wanted to tell her about some things in first couple days after D-Day, but decided that I will write it all on paper and wait, because you can always send it later. Felt relieved, found a lot of things about myself, and after a day or two the urge to contact her disappeared. Writing my thoughts helped me tremendously. When thoughts just in your head, they kinda spin there and can't find their end. As you write them down you find their end, and they stop bothering you. Also, writing helps you find things about yourself. If you have some internal question, you may just write it down and then answer it on paper and you will find an answer. Want to mention that right when I left, I deleted everything related to her and our memory together, thrown away stuff that she gives me as gifts. Even had to delete all her cat's photos. I miss the cats. Did it because it is only way to heal detachment. I peeked at her photo on social media 2 weeks in and it hurt as hard as betrayal itself. Also peeked at her photo on Christmas. It was not so bad but still hurt. Don't do pain shopping. I still think about her every day. This is mix of sadness, disgust of her, anger, guilt, grief, regret. Breathing and focusing on me and what I want helps me to deal with emotions. Also, I found out that if I'm not sleeping enough then I'm going to be grumpy that day. Feel bad and weak, so get some sleep. Procrastination is playing with your mind too. It wears you off. It is better to do something or just meditate. Some days are bad, some are good. Learned to be not too hard on myself. I started keto diet on D-Day and lost around 30 pounds in first month. The diet is a bit expensive and dull, but it adds routine in life which is good for you. Started jogging. I didn't know that I could run 5 miles without stop. You have to threat jogging and other physical activities as mental activity. Actually, your body is very durable, and it is the mind that quits. Asked for promotion and raise at my job, got both. Then asked for relocation in other country, got that too. I will leave in 2 weeks. Very hopeful for that new life that I am going to have. Started caring for myself more, bought new clothes, got beard cut, resolved some health problems. It is hard to love yourself, but it is a skill, and you can learn that. This subreddit helped me a lot because I couldn't really talk to anyone. I read it daily. My mother told me to get over the breakup when I wanted to talk to her after 2 months of D-Day. She doesn't really care, I guess. And I realized that only you yourself can really listen to you and care, so you have to give that to yourself. I was not perfect partner by no means, but I really wanted to be better for her and was struggling with that and always felt that I was not good enough for her. Actually, there was a lot of red flags that I dismissed and didn't trust my gut. Gut is telling the truth, listen to it. 2 quotes struck me on this subreddit. We project ourselves on our partner, that means you expect them to be faithful and caring and bettering themselves for you, etc. Because you do that. That works in opposite direction. She though that I cheated too because she cheated. She couldn't trust me because she knew that she is not trustworthy. She wouldn't expect and appreciate any care from me because she didn't care for me. Harder the fire, stronger the iron. Betrayal was more painful than death of my father. You go through that and become stronger, just keep moving. Life is movement. I've been in very dark place some years ago. I was on the edge of point of no return and that changed me. Now nothing can bring me down. Betrayal is painful but it is experience and best thing that you can do is to learn from it. Thanks to everyone who writes their stories and supports other. Reader comment, you did the most important thing, you overcame yourself. Your experience is invaluable for all of us. I will note that it helped you that you gave the cheater a tough rebuff from the very beginning and gave the right answer to infidelity, only a breakup. Period. You didn't fall for the bait of reconciliation, like many of us, and that's why you won. All the best in your new life. Original poster, well, if she'd ask for reconciliation at very beginning, I'd probably try it. I know myself and think that I couldn't stop resenting her and relationship would fail eventually. She never asked for it, but I think she will in some time reach out. Have to be prepared for that. Thank you. Story 3. Caught wife cheating day before anniversary. Hello everyone. I hope you all had a wonderful Thanksgiving, Christmas and New Year's. First up, OBS. She is doing very well. Still working for her old company. Still working out and training with RS. They did a couple of sprint distance triathlons this past summer. Apparently, there is a vendor of some sort the deal with the company she works for that started flirting with. She laughed as she told RS it's been so long, she didn't know how to react. Short version is he asked her to dinner and she said yes. They've been on a few dates but nothing serious. She seems happy to be seeing someone but is going slow. AP-2. After life sucking for a while, she is back on her feet and doing great. She works for me, so I see her a lot. She really is a beautiful person, inside and out. Recall that I said her ex was a good guy. He invited her son to spend Christmas Eve with their 2 kids at his place and then brought them to her house for Christmas Day. Showed up early to make breakfast, a tradition from when they were married. As for my family, both kids doing great and our granddaughter is just a joy to be around. I remember a bumper sticker I saw years ago that's something like if I had known for fun grandkids or I would have had them first. Finally, RS and myself. It hasn't always been easy, but I am still committed to R and we are making it work. We both have our moments, but we talk and work through it. Most recently mine have been stress related to work. Inflation is taking its toll on my business and that stress has triggered other issues. I've never been one to bring work home and that isn't always for the best. On the advice of a good friend here, thanks Mike, I've opened up more about business stuff to RS. Maybe finally understanding the meaning of partner. Her issues are still struggling to forgive herself and feelings of guilt over what she did. Most recent was her driving out to the cabin to surprise me for my BD while I was hunting. On the way she convinced herself that she was going to find me there with another woman. All a manifestation of not being able to let go her guilt. I'll finish with this. Thanksgiving morning RS asked me what I was most thankful for. My answer surprised her. I'm sure she thought it would be something like our granddaughter or our kids being healthy, etc. I told I was thankful for these last 22 months. That while it was difficult, traumatic, painful, and all that, it's brought us to where we are today. I've never been happier and wouldn't trade it for anything. Thanks to everyone who helped us get here. May your journey be a good one. Reader comment, I love the positive update. It sucks your first couple of posts were removed. I get the basics of your story reading through them, but some of the pieces are hard to fit together without the beginning. Hopefully we get another positive update in the future. Original poster, thanks. If there's something you want to know, just DM me and I'll try and answer any questions. Reader comment, good to hear from you. Give your furry best friend a pat on the head from me. Original poster, thank you. The way he's looking at me the morning, I swear he knows I forgot I include him in the update. He's doing great too, but we didn't do any pheasant hunting this year and I think he knows that the season has passed.